This episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Shopify. Michael Bay brings us robots and mayhem again. Yup, it's Transformers: Dark of the Moon.
Today in movies we were talking about Transformers 3 in 3D. We just walked out of Paramount, watching it in all three dimensions. We are joined by longtime listener, friend of the show.
Longtime listener, friend of the show.
Blaise Hemingway. You may have heard us talk about the show Apocalypse before and Trailer Hicks and all that. All comes from the show Blaise used to do.
It's coming back. It's on hiatus.
Okay.
For a long time.
Okay, all right.
It'll be back.
So yeah, Transformers 3.
Dark of the Moon.
Dark of the Moon.
Is it Dark of the Moon? I thought it was Dark Side of the Moon.
No,
it's
can't
Dark
call
of
it
the
that.
Moon. But it's not on the, it doesn't take, spoiler alert, it doesn't take place on the dark side of the moon.
Well,
but it is the Dark of the Moon.
Why can't they call it Dark Side of the Moon?
I don't know. I was
Probably
assuming there's
Star Wars has a
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, Roger
issues.
Waters, probably.
Well, they
Clarence.
referenced that in the movie. Anyway.
Yes, we're back.
So yes, Michael Bay
Directed it.
directed it.
Lorenzo de Bonaventura.
Shia LaBeouf is back. Megan Fox has been replaced by
An android.
woman. No, she's not a robot, but she does look like the robot Decepticon from the second movie.
That she does.
Yeah.
I thought for a second maybe it was
They
her.
were like tying it together.
I'd give her a redemption arc, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, this time, things are getting different.
So, Blaise,
Yeah.
what did you think of the first two Transformers? Because they don't know. They know
Yeah.
our history with the franchise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all appropriate qualifiers.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of the franchise. I was a huge fan of the cartoon as a kid. Loved the toys. Loved the toys. I understood the merits of the first one. I thought they did a pretty good job, all things considering. Second one, I actually walked out of. Had to do it. Third one. Should I share my thoughts?
Yes, please.
It's time.
It's time.
Well, I mean, actually, it started out really strong. I was really excited about it. I saw the trailer, the first teaser trailer that doesn't let you know it's a Transformers movie to the end, and I was like, daggone it. I'm like, it's a perfect trailer for someone like me because I've kind of given up on this franchise. You've got me back. And the subsequent trailers, like the spectacle of it all, that kind of Tremors homage, wormy kind of thing. I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a fair shot. And I think it delivered for the first 15 minutes. And then other things happened.
There's 2.5 more hours after that.
Yeah, it's a really long movie. It's a massive third act. It's kind of like, all right, we're going in to take on the bad guys, and we'll see you in the credits in an hour and a half. Right. And it just kind of keeps going, and nobody has any really clear objectives for what's happening in the movie, and humans keep kind of making these declarations like, yeah, we're gonna go get them, but it's kind of like, oh my God, Sherman tanks rolled into town. Get the gerbils, get them into attack, and there's no real kind of...
Humans are sort of the Ewoks of the...
No, the Ewoks did a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
The Ewoks did a lot. I really felt like Shia and basically everyone that was an air breather in the movie really had nothing to do. And I got lost and I got bored. Can we talk for a second about Leonard Nimoy voicing the Sentinel? And then...
Oh, I didn't even place that.
You didn't get that was Leonard Nimoy?
What?
I mean, I just didn't even...
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So Leonard Nimoy is in it, which initially seems like a cool thing. And then, he actually, as a bad guy, says his famous line from Wrath of Khan.
That's why you chuckled loudly.
I chuckled because it was like, it was sacrilege for a character who's an evil character to say the words of, arguably the best Star Trek movie of all time, the movie that turned me around on Star Trek, for him to say that line, it's not an homage, it's plagiarism. I'm just saying.
Jeff?
Sorry.
Not a fan of the franchise at all.
No.
This was going to be the one to bring you in.
It was gonna
One
come
would
back.
hope.
Yeah.
One would hope.
It was a new hope.
Here, I'll say the good stuff.
Yeah.
The shiniest movie of the summer.
Brilliant.
The biggest, most bombastic movie of the summer.
It's huge.
You will not find more bang for your buck. Michael Bay brings spectacle. It
Absolutely.
is a huge film. He shoots everything gorgeously. He shoots women like they're cars and cars like they're women.
And he shoots them both well.
And everything's sexy. Everything
Very
in this
sexy.
damn movie is sexy.
Even John Turturro.
And I will even say the 3D is sexy. I thought it was the best 3D since Avatar.
Okay,
And,
wow.
just spectacular looking. Everything out, this movie is awful, awful, awful. And it makes me sad that I was really hoping this third one would not be, but it is such a schizophrenic, like scene to scene, so jarring juxtaposition between different tones. You'll go from like badass Aaron Sorkin, an awesome person delivering an awesome line, to like buddy cop, slapsticky, falling over yourself humor, to trying to be scary, sci-fi, awesome. It's like and you're going moment to moment like that, and it's so jarring and doesn't make any sense, and there's plot points that just are slammed in there, and it's like, you know, he saw Ken Jeong in a movie and he was like, oh, let's get that guy because he's funny.
Right.
And this movie tries so hard to be funny so much, and I can't think of another action franchise whose sense of humor is more off-putting to me than this franchise. It is trying so hard to be everything that it ends up being nothing. And then we get to the last 45 minutes, which is which felt like an hour and a half. It's a movie really, unto itself. It really is. And it feels all the more like that. I'll say it's a movie all to itself because it's so big and bombastic and awesome, and there's a lot of awesome stuff you see. But more is less here. I'm not right. I agree. I mean, I felt like they were just giving me too much here. I agree with you, and I think it feels like its own movie all the more because everything that you saw up to that point, 2 hours of movie up to that point, doesn't matter one iota once we get into the fight. Absolutely. Nothing matters. It's just, okay, now we're fighting against the bad guys, and nothing you've seen before bears any relevance to any of it. Yeah. And it's such a shame because buildings toppling and all that stuff is incredible to behold, but for what?
I could not agree with everything you said more. I know you were saying that you didn't like the 3D. I also loved the 3D in the movie. I thought that the definition and the depth on the robots themselves are finally so much more clear. I know you always had a problem with the way they animate, but
the robots were gorgeous. You're not going to get an argument out of me.
And I finally get this. The action choreography is done justice so much by the 3D. And I really got that sense that I got from Avatar of like, holy crap! It felt so.
Bugland. It's a Bugland.
It is
CG though. It's good effects.
I didn't love every action scene, but there are moments inside action scenes that are so amazing. It's like 90% of this is poison and 10% is the most delicious thing ever. I will drink that poison.
No, you've been building up an immunity over me. But I agree massively. But I agree. I think we're all kind of saying the same thing though, which is like I think if you look at any one of these individual, like if you watched Transformers 3 in 5-minute increments, every 5 minutes would be like, that is the sickest 5 minutes I have ever seen, and it's amazing. But when it's like having cake on top of frosting on top of frosting on top of hot sauce on top of frosting, and at a certain point you get a tummy ache like I did.
Because the problem is, for the most part, none of even those cool action moments are rooted in character stuff.
Or you don't know what the objective is.
Exactly.
Or you'll have a simple objective in a scene like, we got to get the pillar. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, it seems like the easiest thing in the world to do, and they spend hours doing other stuff. It's like, we need flight suits, we need parachutes, we need what?
I agree completely, and that's what the whole movie is as well, where we have, as you were saying, it's very schizophrenic, and it's like every scene in the movie, first of all, it's the objectives for the first 2 hours is in making me laugh. Yeah. Not in building up an action movie. It's the objective of the scene is to make me laugh. The objective, the scene is 9 minutes long, and in the 10th minute, they clumsily, 9 minutes of jokes.
9 minutes of
and
jokes.
in the 10th minute, they clumsily have exposition to push the story forward. And where you can have a movie like True Lies that has really awesome action scenes, has a wonderful sense of humor amidst the action scenes, and sometimes does have over-the-top, that whole Bill Paxton segment that's over-the-top comedy, but it all is rooted in character and is part of the story. Whereas this, it's like just because you're saying that in the action scenes you don't have the objective, even in the setup of the movie, the characters have, there's no objective to those scenes. Why do we spend 9 minutes in John Malkovich's office? Like, all that's, and by the way, the cast
I know why, because they thought it was funny. The problem is they thought a scene like that, they're like, this is funny. Right. And they kept it in. But I mean, I thought, to defend the movie on the flip side, like I thought they actually took an interesting tact with Shia's character. They decided to say, we're gonna take this guy, we're gonna make him, this is, no, we're gonna make him a dick. He was a little dickish, but he was angry. His reason was like, this is a guy that saved the world twice. It had like I'm going to cite a movie that I love, The Incredibles, but just like people that have had greatness, a taste of greatness, are now settling into a normal life.
Yeah.
And Shia was kind of wrestling with that, and I was like, okay, I kind of get it, but and then it just went nowhere.
If it stuck to the core, I love the idea.
But I don't know.
Of that
I don't know if
Shia.
that's a movie though. It's interesting, but I don't know if that's a movie.
That was cool. The messenger becoming a hero.
Interesting.
That could have been cool. Like if they just
those
stuck
felt like
to
Spielberg
the core,
notes. Like it felt like there's your theme.
And
But
their
it didn't-
plan, the Decepticons' kind of actual plan.
Terrible.
is cool. Well,
Oh, you thought it was cool?
There's a cool thing that they're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
Which could have been awesome, but how they go about it is so baffling and strange.
The big plan.
Well, if you go back and connect the dots now, you're like, what a terrible plan. Why didn't you do that in the first movie?
And what it ends up to, from a viewer standpoint, is like, okay, you have, in the first movie, you have this last half-hour action sequence, which is really awesome, which is about
I
Shia
love
LaBeouf,
Shia
LaBeouf trying to get to the top of a building to get the
and
thing
he
that's
brings a
important
lot
to
of
them.
heart to that.
Yes,
And that's the exact same
absolutely.
thing he
That-
does again. He's trying to get to the city, to get to the top of a building, to get the thing that's
too
important
late
to them.
though. It's too late. But that the way that it comes together in this movie, it's too little, too late. He doesn't have a clear objective. I don't feel like he's moving towards it the whole time. And at a certain point, you're like, oh, by the way, when all the Autobots get captured, what happened? That just felt like a jump cut. It's
But
like, did you follow it?
No.
Okay.
But even though they don't have objectives, I do want to give Shia LaBeouf credit as an actor. He fucking brings a lot of heart to those insulated moments. You said something as we walked out of the movie. You said, "What are they going to do after this?" There's another
I feel
director
sorry for
handle the franchise because
It's so
not so many
epic.
people can do what Michael Bay does. Now, it's funny that you said that because what I was thinking was if they had just made that third act, the second act, because as you guys both said, if they had made the Black Hawk Down, it's kind of what the Battle LA did. But that last act felt like Black Hawk Down. It was just like, we are humans in this epic war. And like what this franchise could do is instead of telling the grand story, if we were in this transformery
a
thing
more
and
intimate,
tell the
Cloverfield
story
version
inside it,
Yeah.
that could be exciting, and that is where the franchise could go with another director, and you know what I mean? Like do a different genre inside the universe. And
If I was to take it anywhere, I'd just dial it way back.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they do make another one just so they can call it Transformers.
Ooh, I like the
That's
way
worth
you think.
it right there, right?
Boop, 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 boop. Paramount Marketing. Yeah, we got it.
we nailed it.
Blick.
because they haven't figured that out yet.
No,
either.
clearly
Yeah.
they've missed it.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's Transformers 3D. Seeing it in the theater, even though the thing is,
like,
we
no,
all
if you're
go.
gonna Here's the
see
thing.
it, like,
None of us
it's
are
so
saying
big.
don't see it.
Yeah.
Don't see it, but all appropriate qualifiers. It's go and have
It's
fun.
garbage, but it's bright, shiny,
That's-
incredible
and
garbage.
that's how
covered in a
amazing-
sugary coating.
That's how amazing that the good stuff is. As small as it is inside it, it's
Yeah.
so amazing
Yeah.
that it kind of overpowers poop.
I'll tell you what. Every time that it's on HBO and HD, I will watch 5 minutes of it.
Yeah.
I will. 5 minutes.
Dan, I think you just got a poster quote.
What was it?
It
What was
overpowers poop.
I love it. That
Dan
is brilliant.
Trachtenberg, Totally Rad Show.
Oh, kadoosh.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around for this day in Rad history. But first, we want to thank our sponsors. Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah, new sponsor this week, Shopify. Shopify is the most elegant, customizable, and affordable hosted e-commerce platform available. With Shopify, you can set up a gorgeous online store in minutes and sell just about anything, look professional, accept credit cards or other payment gateways, and track, respond to all your orders. I think we need to start up shop somehow.
Yeah.
Shopify is e-commerce.
You can sell your whittling, finally, that you've been doing.
That I've been doing since Cub Scouts?
Yeah.
Since I got my whittling badge. Shopify is e-commerce made easy, a shop in minutes, a business for life. Join over
taglines, too.
14,000 Shopify users, so we have some competition for potentially for our
I don't know
whittling
about
business.
competition.
And discover the most.
Are they all whittlers, Dan? Are they all whittlers?
Discover the most effective, simple way to start an online store. Use coupon code TRS to get your first 60 days free.
That's 2 months of selling cool shit.
Or whittling. Represent your brand exactly the way you want to and have your store open to the world 24/7 with Shopify.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, Shopify yourselves. We
Hey,
will
don't
see
forget
you.
that we are going to be at Comic-Con.
At Comic-Con.
So you should be there too to see us on Friday night and send in your backgrounds. We love getting those.
July 24th, something like that, right?
Fans of TotallyRadShow.com for the
20
backgrounds.
seconds.
Tomorrow on the show, we review the board game Formula D.
Today is June 29th, and on this day in Rad history in 1613, the original Globe Theater burned down. That was where, of course, the bard himself, William Shakespeare's plays were first performed.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's why we know very little about the actual Globe Theater itself, because it burned.
It done burned.
How did it burn, do you know?
Fire.
But
Oh, it wasn't one of those acid burns that happened to so many buildings in the 1680s.
Thanks for saying that in, Jeremy Lee Mull. They think it was actually a...
Jeremy Mull.
there's an answer that you have.
Yeah, they think,
not
they
a
think
quip.
it was a light. You know, they had fire for light. They had candles. And
Fire for light. What kind of
Wasn't
better than
it
for light?
wasn't a bulb?
A chemical reaction or fire?
Thanks, Jeremy.